All right, Shalom. I want to start off by giving all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Shema, Washai, by Shema Kakodash. Double honor to the apostle of this great millstone. Shalom to all the Akim out there pushing the word of sincerity and in truth. Just wanted to do a lesson on the hypocrisy of Esau, dealing, with this lesson on marijuana legalization in New York City. Now you see all these different states within the United States, passing legal legalizing marijuana legislation, which is putting the United States citizens in a spirit of mirth. It's making them more happy. They basically celebrating because now they have more leisure to smoke weed, you know, in their different clubs, freely in their car, within the public, because they have now leeway to have medicinal licenses and things of that nature, and they could just smoke it, like I said, for recreational. Oh yeah, really, it's recreational. So just in your downtown, smoking weed is like smoking a new cigarette. The weed is a new cigarette. You're smoking weed freely, publicly, and the law enforcement can't apprehend you due to that fact. And one thing I want to mainly shed light on, is the hypocrisy of Esau. He gives you these different drugs, to smoke. Now, of course, everything has a purpose. The Most High created herbs. The scriptures speak about how certain herbs is for the consumption of man. Now Esau would take these same things and they'll put it in. They'll sell you different what they call them, like wraps and cigars. You fill it up and you actually inhaling, that smoke, which is depositing all kind of toxins within your lungs and things of that nature. That's why Jake, does a lot of coughing. And the main thing I really wanted to highlight is the fact that this devil put you blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans deeply within the prisons. All right, he basically buried you alive within those prisons for the same drugs that he's legalizing now. And instead of you Jakes being pissed off, you Jakes are just rejoicing, because you look at this as like, oh, we did it. We pressed the government to legalize homosexuality, to legalize lesbianism, to legalize marijuana, to legalize, next could be cocaine. We're doing everything as citizens. We're actually pushing against the powers that be, not knowing that these devils have a plan and they do all these things methodically, man. It's a method to their madness. Now that they have legalized this, this marijuana for recreational uses, what now they're gonna generate more income, because it's all about these major companies making big bucks and keeping you basically dirt poor, and these same jakes, which they call like street pushers, that they label as damn near beast and animalistic. I'm talking about Esau and his hypocrisy. Now he's doing the same thing, and he'll set up a pharmacy, and they're pushing more drugs legally than the drug dealers are pushing illegally, man. And they get praise. They get taxpayers' dollars. All right. They generate hella revenue in these different, pharmaceutical departments, as well as these different marijuana shops and things of that nature. So I wanted to jump into this article. It says, if weed is legal, why are so many people still being arrested and locked up for it? I'm going to jump straight into the points of it. It says, while Michigan dispensaries collectively bring in millions of dollars every month, Michael Thompson is serving a de facto, which de facto is in fact life sentence in the same state for the very same reason, selling cannabis. As the country grapples with both a global pandemic and nationwide protests against police brutality and systematic racism, cannabis remains at the forefront of the cultural and political conversation. Cannabis was deemed an essential business by nearly all states with a medical or adult use market during the COVID-19, yet its criminalization has resulted in the arrest of millions of Americans, with black individuals arrested at significantly higher rates than their white counterparts. Right, so that's the curses, Esau, and that's the hypocrisy, like I said, of Esau. Esau will throw you in a jail, and in those jails, Jake lose their soul in there, man. You do 5 years in the can, 10 years, in these different prisons. You fighting for your life. You have certain men that's looking to violate you. What Jakes be saying, extra violate you. You know, and it's certain Jakes that leave out of those prisons traumatized, man, and they got locked up significantly more, as this article said, for the same shit that Esau's pushing. Hell, Jake will get locked up for cocaine, heroin, all these different illicit drugs, and of course, these drugs are wicked as hell. You know, but the point of it is showing the more cynical, if I'm not mistaken, that's the word. Or devilish nature of your enemy, Esau. And then he'll set up a shop. That's the point I want to make. Because you Jakes get locked up for these same street drugs that Esau's pushing in these major corporations, man. You know? And then they have these different conveyor belts where they're pushing them out through the assembly lines. Dozens, or I don't even say by the hundreds of thousands, man. Pills, being bottled and distributed unto the public. And that's big business. They're not looking to slow that down. So now they got another, quote unquote drug. Really, marijuana is not legal. It's not classified as drug because it's a herb. Mainly drugs are concocted really through chemicals, but they have another form of means of keeping the people hooked on the system and basically having to go to him for the one of all things. So yeah, Elon Musk made a good quote in this article. Hopefully, I seen that they was talking about Elon Musk. It's a lot into this. For time's sake, I'm not going to read everything, but it got the charts. Show the state prisons, federal people in prison and jail for drug offenses from the 80s to 2017. You see the state prison chart. That's 2017 versus 1980 federal prison, and the numbers are crazy, man. That's damn near, that's a little bit over 150,000, maybe like 180,000. Look like around the same span of people. And they're all about keeping those prisons filled up. All right. When they open prisons, they're not looking to close them down. Prisons is big business. That's why you can't, even in the state of New York, if they legalize marijuana, then they should also expunge these different people that actually, expunge these felonies and remove them off their criminal record, if that's the case. Because now this same drug that people got, prosecuted, you had to go to a probation officer. You had you was looked at, if you smoked marijuana while on probation, you violated your probation and you had to go back to jail or prison. And in these different states you had different strike laws. Mainly in California you had the 3 strikes law. So even if you got you got 2 major felonies or whatnot, then the 3rd strike you out. And he's not going to take this back. Because if so, he had to release a lot of these prisoners. But like I said, he want to keep you buried within the system. So it says the majority of the population reside in states with legalized medical or adult use cannabis, and over 2/3 of Americans support legalization. We are leaps and bounds away from the days of reefer madness. And Nancy Reagan just says no campaign, yet thousands of people are currently sitting in jail or prison for cannabis-related offenses, and over 660,000 people were arrested for cannabis in 2018 alone. Right, so those 666,000 people, some of them could have been with days, some weeks, some months, some years. Now, one thing about time and one thing about your life, you can never get time back, man. You can't, no matter the compensation, none of these things could be returned unto you. And see, this devil not only doesn't give a damn, he won't even compensate you. You see? They promise, 40 acres and a mule? All these different promises this devil does, he just wants to borrow time, man. The scriptures speak about in Revelations 12:12, the devil, cometh down with great wrath because he know that he have but a short time. So he understands the concept of time, and he knows how to keep a people asleep, how to keep a people entertained, or another word for entertained is distracted. You see? And one of the reasons why they did this also was because of the vid, man. A lot of depression has arose because of the vid. A lot of people, they can't go out, and especially in New York City and California, these different states. You know, they want to keep people in the house and keep them on social media, keep them on the internet, and just keep them high out of their mind until they're able to really accomplish that major feat, which is that new world order. And Elon Musk made the statement. Yep, it says selling weed literally went from major felony to essential business, open during pandemic, like I was just now speaking of, in much of America, and yet many are still in prison. Doesn't make sense, isn't right. Right. And like I said, it's mainly our people. Elon Musk, June 6, 2020. That's the hypocrisy of this man. All right. And you, Jake, still try to give him praise because he passed legislation. Now, a lot of people going to be rooting for, the governor of New York, Governor Cuomo. You know, they're going to really attach themselves more unto this devil's enterprise. And because they want more goodies, man. They want the newer systems. All right. They want the newer, entertainment. They just want everything that comes with the package of America, man. Because what? Ignorance is bliss. So if these jakes get their the clubs open, they get these different high paying jobs, better salaries, they're speaking about going up on a minimum wage, all this different, federally funding, stimulus packages, as well as increases, on all these different things, in the system. Then that just rocks. All this is all Esau's doing is rocking you to sleep, man. The scriptures speak about how Jake loves to sleep, But this is Job 20:4. Knowest thou not this of old, since man was placed upon earth, that the triumphing of the wicked is short, and the joy of the hypocrite but for a moment? Right. So this society is a short circuit society, and see, Esau is looking to try to do everything in his means to keep the people quailed to keep going. All right, he wants this to be his rulership to rule forever. If you ask these devils, and if they could choose what race that they want to actually rule for eternity, they will not choose all races. Now, as a to be politically correct, and when you got all these different races in front of them, they're never going to make that type of choice and say so-called white people. They're going to say, I want all people to hold hands and let's rule and work together. But in the background, like the scripture speak about, the devil stabbing you in the back, he looks to throw you in a pit, So, like I said, that's dealing with the hypocrite. Because the word hypocrite goes into the word hypokritos. Another word for a hypocrite is an actor. He likes to act. He likes to put on a facade. All right? He's all about, the optical illusion. As he appears, that's not truly who he is. All right. They had a show on Netflix called The House of Cards. For the brothers that are familiar with that shows you exactly the hypocrisy of this man. Verse 5, that the triumphing of the wicked is short, and the joy of the hypocrite but for a moment. So who is that hypocrite? Esau, Edom. Though his excellency mount up to the heavens, and his head reach unto the clouds. Right, so that goes into his apex, or him reaching his pinnacle. All right. Verse 7, yet he shall perish forever like his own dung. They which have seen him shall say, where is he? He shall fly away as a dream, and shall not be found. Yea, he shall be chased away as a vision of the night. All right. So this is Sirach 10:8. Because of unrighteous dealings, injuries, and riches got by deceit, the kingdom is translated from one people to another. Right. So who is the one that's dealing with an unrighteous hand, injuring and robbing the people deceitfully? Esau, predominantly the international bankers, man. Through high interest rates. Basically loan sharking. They give you a certain amount of money. See, they'll, just like I said before, they'll lock you up for loan sharking, but then they'll charge you usury. They'll lock you up for street drugs, yet they'll establish pharmacies, man. They'll lock you up for lock women up for prostitution, and yet they exercise the same thing in these different massage parlors and things of that nature, man. So that's how Esau keeps you tied down. All right, they'll lock you up for murder, yet they'll go overseas and bomb countries. All right, blowing up different buildings, and then see that in America, that's like, if I'm not mistaken, like capital murder, man, federal offenses. When you blow up federal property, that's where you get the most time, man. And that's why the Lord is gonna receive. He's gonna take the kingdom. It tells you in the book of Daniel how the saints shall take the kingdom by force, man. That's gonna be part of that translation, because this devil is not gonna give up anything from a handout. All right, he's like, basically you're gonna have to take it by force. So the righteous will take it by force, like I quoted that scripture. So this was just a lesson I definitely want to go through. Hopefully, brothers edified them, and by giving all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, by Shema Shah, by Shema Kakodash, double honor to the apostles and the elders of great millstone. Shalom, Akim.